Hi guys, and welcome to this mini and simple and quick review, and trust me, this one will be happy. So this one is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. This cover, first off, is beautiful. I fell in love with Kristin Hannah because I read The Great Alone, and yeah, this cover is beautiful. This is a World War II historical novel, which is some of my favorites of all time, are historical romance novels especially, and there is a bit of romance in this book. Vivienne and Antoine and Isabelle and Gaeton, I don't know how to say these French names, I'm sorry. Gaeton, Vivienne and Antoine have a bit of a very different story. Vivienne ends up in World War II where she is living on her own, and Antoine gets arrested because he fights against the Germans and they lose. So he is in prison the whole time. And then he's in prison the whole time, and then Vivienne ends up living with Nazis because they move in when they like take over the towns and the French towns and everything. So her sister is there at the time at the very beginning where she is living with a particular Nazi who is actually a quite kind Nazi. And then her sister starts the story as a romance, a little bit of a romance story. She meets this guy who like kind of saves her as Paris is like falling to the Nazis, and then he runs away and leaves her, and then she goes off seeking adventure. She has a lot more adventurous spirit in her, and she leaves her sister alone, and her sister's there with her daughter just wanting to protect her daughter, and she goes on a bit of adventure and starts to help like the resistance, and eventually helps people like backpack over into Spain. And there are fighter pilots that like flew in and, you know, kind of got dumped there. And in the midst of that, she meets back up with however you say Gaeton, yeah. I do like that you get to hear from some of the male perspectives in this book. That was fun, but it is not the main part of the book. The main part of the book is definitely all about the sisters and how they get along and their father a little bit. But mostly, it is mostly a tale of the two sisters and what happens to them during World War II. And then like immediately after, just like a little bit of resolve at the end of this book. I don't want to give like too much away or anything, but it was done really well. She's a really good writer. She's a really good gripping writer. She's good at leaving out the nonsense, like things in other books like where you're like, why is this written in, or you don't realize why it's boring, because just things that aren't necessary. She only clips in mostly the action-packed things, which is something to be said, because for the majority of the book, Vivienne is not doing anything action-packed. She's just living with Nazis. But it's still, it gives you enough to know what she's like going through, living through, how she gets fired from her teaching job and everything like that. So, yeah, that's the part I really like about Kristin Hannah, is she only stuck to like a lot more of the action-packed stuff in this, which sometimes they don't, which is kind of the reason you're reading like a war story or a World War II retelling. One sister is highly more entertaining as far as like her action adventures are a lot more packed, and then the other sister is like the complete opposite in a more reserved setting of the war. A lot less fear. I mean, there's fear, but a lot less. Like, it's not a constant, I'm gonna throw up because there's so much. But just overall, it was just told wonderfully. It's a really great story. It will make you cry a little bit. The story in the end, that was the only thing. I thought it went through, for as much as she gave the rest of the story about her sister living with Nazis and as building up with her working with resistance, when it came to the stories about the concentration camps and one of them being in the concentration camp, that part was sped through so quickly, which surprised me. It was getting into a longer book, and maybe that wasn't what she was aiming for. So I didn't like that was kind of sped through. And then the aftermath of the war, the ending wrap up was sped through a little bit, I felt like. I enjoyed it overall. It's so much heartbreak and so much you learn about people and who they really are and everything. I really, really loved it, and I can't recommend it enough. I think you will love it as well if you like historical fiction, but it was also just really well done if you don't like historical fiction. I think everybody would like this book. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye!